Welcome back to K Sports Sunday. I'm Max Kleinman back in the host seat, joined by Alex. We got Adam, and we also got Ryan Shelley over there. Let's see, the Celtics and Heat, Game 1 has just ended moments ago. Let's check that final score. Okay, well, I guess we don't have the score right now, but we know that the Celtics lost the game to the Miami Heat today. The Heat have taken the 1-0 lead. Here's the final score for you guys. It's a 9-point game, 99-90. The Celtics actually get it back within single digits, but can't get it much closer than 9 points and end up losing the game 99-90. Really demolished by the Heat all night. There was really no chance the Celtics were going to win in the second half. They went on a couple of runs, but nothing big, and they couldn't pull away. They couldn't pull into the lead. So let's go over to the back talk set. First, I want to talk about what changed between this game and the regular season games that the Celtics won so much.
Well, I mean, Miami they're better at playing together now. And I just want to say something about the score. This was not a 9-point game. That was a case Miami just kind of let go at the last minute. They knew they had it. This was a double-digit game. But the difference between this and the regular season, the Heat can play together now. They know what they're doing. They know what the game style is. Those guys know how to complement each other now, instead of each one trying to take over the show.
All right, I agree with you, Alex. I think the reason between a regular season game, back to Max's question, would be we don't have Shaq. He wasn't there for some of the regular season. We also, in a regular season game, don't have unfair refs who are, nipping at our ankles, trying to get every penalty possible. As an own personal opinion, I feel like the refs were not fully fair in this game. Maybe you agree with me.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah, definitely.
The NBA is notorious for having the worst refs, and I mean, you look at Paul Pierce getting thrown out in that game. You don't throw a team's captain out at that situation in a playoff game. First game of the series against a rival team. I understand if he punches somebody, he just threw a couple words in. Maybe you team up to keep the game under control, but come on. I know the NBA is known for having the worst refs, but this was just ridiculous. I think the reason these guys wanted max contracts is to have that money to pay the refs. Seriously, refs in this game, you guys just go home. You obviously have nice homes with all the money Miami's paying you.
Whoa.
It was ridiculous. I mean, come on.
Calm down.
Seriously, the Celtics did not play well, but every time they got on a run and started to come back, the refs completely took them out of this game. I know I'm getting angry, but this was ridiculous. The NBA needs to do something about the reffing situation. The regular season, too. It's noted as the league of the 4 major leagues with the worst officiating, and that needs to be fixed because it's starting to take away from the integrity of the game. And honestly, even if the Celtics had won, I'd still be here saying this. And even if it had been the other way against the Heat in the Knicks series, the refs very much favored the Celtics. And even though Celtics won, I'm happy about that. Would have been a much better series, much more entertaining to watch if the refs had called a fair game.
All right. Next time, I just won't bring that up. It's a good point to say, though, is that if you're watching any sports lately, refs have had a huge factor. As I was mentioning earlier, in just the hockey, if you watch, the refs had a huge factor against the Canadiens, Bruins versus Canadiens. That's huge. You have umpires against the Red Sox. You have bad calls. You have even in every sport right now.
Last year, the famous non-perfect game.
Absolutely.
Detroit Tigers.
Yes, you have it all over. Is refs with too much power that are ruining games. Just the playoffs. If you look at any playoffs right now, they have way too much power, and they are controlling the games. They're controlling who wins the games with unfair calls and too many calls.
I think, though, the NBA, which is noted for having the worst officiating, they need to, first of all, get in a new officiating coordinator. We've seen a lot of questionable suspensions this year, because suspensions is considered it's a ref's call to make. It's a judgment call for a ref. They need to really specify what grants a suspension and what doesn't, an ejection and what doesn't. Because Paul Pierce, he was just jawing. So is everybody else on the court. It's a rivalry.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a playoff game.
How do you not jaw?
I mean, I understand if he punches the guy in the face. Yes, eject him. That's wrong. You're going to lose control. But just for saying some stuff, I mean, if you get ejected for doing that, Kevin Garnett would never play in an NBA game.
If you watch earlier in the game, too, you have O'Neal, who's just sitting there, and he gets a flagrant because he's walking by and maybe a little elbow, but nothing, and then the acting. I believe that most sports these days have just an unbelievable amount of acting, even just in this game. Just a little elbow, and all of a sudden, whoa! You're on the ground, like laying on the ground, and making it a
Seriously,
huge deal.
if LeBron James' basketball doesn't work out for him, he should try being in movies.
Exactly.
Because that guy would get an Oscar.
You do see.
And I think we have Kunal on the phone with us now. Kunal, how'd you like our rant?
Oh, it was very beautiful.
Thank you very much.
So
Yeah, and the refs, I definitely agree with you. I mean, and in the last 5 minutes or 7 minutes, Pierce had 2 technicals in 1 minute, and the refs definitely were favoring Miami, and just the refs weren't consistent. I mean, this is playoff basketball. It's going to be more aggressive than the regular season, and they got to get used to that. In the other series, the first rounds, and even the Memphis Thunder game, they were letting these fouls go, and I think that was a big factor because the Celtics are the most aggressive team and talk the most to the refs and the other players, and I just think that wasn't fair.
So, Kunal, you obviously watched the game. What was your opinion on the biggest factor that caused the Celtics to lose? Was it some poor shooting early on, some poor bench play, the referees? What did you think was the key to the Celtics losing Game 1?
No, I just think it was how they played their defense. They were looking at LeBron James the whole time, whoever had the ball, mainly LeBron James or Dwayne Wade, and just the other star. They had 4 guys looking right at the man with the ball, and then LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, whoever didn't have the ball, would cut backdoor, and they would just keep finding each other. And that's how LeBron James had 22 points and Dwayne Wade had 38 points in that game, just finding the open man. And the Celtics did make a few runs at the end, but they just couldn't finish and push through at the end.
So, Kunal, it was obviously a double-digit game, and the Celtics ended up losing in single digits, even though it really was more than that. What do you think will happen in Game 2? Do you think that the Celtics will turn it around, or will it be another game like this?
No, I think the Celtics will definitely turn around, and if we want to win this series, we have to steal this game, go back and win 2 games at home, because that will be the key to winning our series. And I just think if they watch the tape, they'll notice that they were just looking at the man at the ball with the ball, and I bet there was at least 15 just backdoor cuts between all the players. And I think that's what they just have to work on, just looking behind them for a few seconds. And if they would have stopped a few of those passes, that could have made a difference in the game.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kunal. They're definitely doing a lot of ball watching out there and not really looking at their man and who they should be covering, and what's going to happen next, and always see not only who has the ball but who they're going to pass it to.